Hello everybody, this is General Yanis, and today in General Yanis Tactics, the Warhammer 40k channel with a nerdly touch, we will be looking at, continuing to look into the Thousand Suns Codex and looking at the Tzaangor Enlightened. So will they have a thumbs up or a thumbs down, a yay or a nay here for these enlightened beasts, let's say. So today, the 17th of September, finally back from vacation. Being a week without having a week without any Warhammer is tough, I can tell you. I visited this very nice beach in the island of Zakynthos in Greece, and I couldn't help but notice this wreck, this shipwreck here, and all the nice grime and corrosion that really inspired me for some of the models. Also, the very fantastic blue, light blue, almost lighting waters also make me want to paint a little bit more models, and if I could be a skilled painter to get these effects, let's say. But as I said, today we'll be looking at the Tzaangor Enlightened from the Thousand Suns, reviewing this unit, a fast attack unit. We'll be looking at the stats and the weapons, the damage output, the durability, comparing it to other units, looking at any buffs and combos it can receive, and then finally, how can it be used, what's the verdict for this unit, and some summary and final thoughts. So with no further ado, let's get started. So let's start with the basic stats and the weapon options for the Tzaangor Enlightened. The Tzaangor Enlightened have a base point cost of 18 points per model. They are a fast attack unit, so their movement is high. It's 12 inches. They have a 3+ weapon skill and ballistic skills, so better than the non-enlightened counterparts. They have a strength 4, toughness 4, 2 wounds each. Let's say the normal guys, they have 2 attacks. The leader, the Aviarch, has 3 attacks. 7 leadership, 8 for the Aviarch, and then only a 6+ save, but they get the 5+ invul save for being Tzaangor in a Thousand Suns detachment ability. The keywords are cavalry. They don't have the infantry keyword because they have the disc the disc of chins here. So they can fly, as I said. They are Tzaangor, Enlightened, Thousand Suns, Chaos, and Chinch. They have the ability Guided by Fate, so any unmodified 6s to hit will auto wound, except when using the disc blades to make the attack. So for their other weapons, 6s to hit, auto wound, and as I said, 5+ invul save for this unit, in Thousand Sun detachments. Looking at the weapons, the standard weapon is the Divining Spear, and then they have, of course, also the disc blades. So the Divining Spear is a melee weapon with strength +1, AP -1, and damage 2. So it's quite a quite good, let's say, anti-marine weapon. Not so good, for example, for Death Guard that can reduce this damage to 1. And the disc blades allow it to do 1 extra attack with this weapon with a strength 4, AP 0, damage 1. And this is basically the standard loadout. They can replace the Divining Spear, all models in the unit, to take an auto pistol and a chainsword. The pistol is pistol 1, strength 3, AP 0, damage 1. Not super strong. The chainsword is basically a melee weapon with the strength of the user, so basically also 4, AP 0, and damage 1, and +1 attack with these weapons. So basically like another loadout with a bit of shooting here, and then we can replace, all the models can replace their spear instead for a Fatecaster Great Bow. This is an Assault 1 weapon with a large range, 30-inch, strength 5, AP -1, damage 1. This has an interesting ability. It can ignore the Lookout Sir, so you can target characters. And an unmodified 2+ always will hit, so no modifiers to -1 to hit, and basically they have a ballistic skill of 2+ here with this weapon. The main problem here is only Assault 1. You can have from 3 to 6 models in a unit, so even if all have the Fatecaster bows, the largest unit would be only able to shoot 6 shots here, but again 30-inch range and can snipe on the characters. So all in all, a fast flying unit. 18 points is not so bad for a flying model, let's say, but but a poor save, not so good save, even if it's an invul save, but they don't save so well even for light fire. The weapons are quite melee oriented, or instead the Fatecaster Great Bow as a sniping weapon. So let's look at how these weapons compare. So the Tzaangor Enlightened's their melee weapons. So if we have the standard loadout with a divining spear, then they get 2 attacks, and then they have one more. The one model has 2 attacks, and then one more for the disc blades, the dark blue line. If we have the chainsword and auto pistol, the chainsword will give us 3 attacks and +1 attack with the disc blade, so larger number of attacks. And the Fatecaster Great Bow, basically the model will have its own strength profile as a melee attack, 2 attacks, and then +1 for the disc blades. It's better to do the melee than the disc blades for all the attacks, because the 6 to hit will auto wound here, but not with the disc blades. So if we look at the damage output for a variety of targets I'm typically simulating, so here we have the general gun is 31 different targets here, and here we can see the average damage of one model here attacking, not point corrected. We can see that the dark blue, the divining spear, does the most damage as being a damage 2 weapon and having a higher strength and some AP compared to the other weapons. Then we have the chainsword. It's quite good. Let's say it does a bit more here against some horde type enemies. And then the Fatecaster Great Bow basically doesn't have a strong melee weapon, but it can still do a little bit of damage with the orange line here. As we can see, versus Death Guard with the Disgusting Resilience, the Divining Spear is not very helpful, and it's not a huge damage output here. So a bit lackluster versus Death Guard, but quite okay for Marines with a damage 2 weapon. The chainsword, as I said, better versus Horde, and you remember the base melee attack if you have the Fatecaster Great Bow is better than using the disc. Just use the disc for the extra attack, because the 6s auto wound even on the base melee damage output. Looking at the ranged weapons, we have the Fatecaster Great Bow here, and we have the auto pistol. The auto pistol only has a 12-inch range. It can of course be shot in close combat if you're stuck there, but not very high damage output for one auto pistol. Even the Fatecaster Great Bow, one shot here only does a bit of damage. It could snipe something like a Virion or a Plaguecaster, be doing a quarter of a wound damage. So a group of 3 would be doing, let's say a group of 3-4 would be doing 1 wound on average on a character. So it's not like they have it suffers from the low number of shots. It can do chip away a little bit, but it's not even a big unit will not be able to kill a character, maybe finish off a character, but it could deal some damage from the range. Looking at the durability here I'm looking at the baseline durability per 100 points. So point corrected, how many wounds are we putting on the table for points, and then what does it take from the opponent to shoot or attacks to take 100 points out. So here I simulate a variety of weapons here. Here we have more anti-infantry type of weapons, and here we have a bit the stronger weapons, mostly for anti-vehicle shooting here. And here we can see the Tzaangor Enlightened. They only have a toughness 4. They have 2 wounds. They have their 5+ invul, but even with low AP weapons, they are only saving on a 5+. And basically we can see they can take for most of these normal weapons here, they take less. It takes less damage to kill 100 points, less shots to kill 100 points of the Enlightened than it does for Rubric Marines or the Tzaangors on foot, which only cost you 7 points, or the Chaos Spawn, which is the other choice of fast attack in the Thousand Suns codex. So all in all, it has a quite lower durability per point than the other Thousand Sun units. So it's a bit more fragile. It's not as durable as Rubric Marines and the normal Tzaangors versus anti-infantry fire. Summarizing all these stats, comparing versus other relevant Thousand Suns and Death Guard units here for comparison. We have here the Tzaangor Enlightened, either with a Divining Spear, the Chainsword Auto Pistol, and the Fatecaster Great Bow. The good thing with Tzaangor Enlightened is that if you take the minimum squad, you only have to give 54 points. But again, the chaos spawn you can get down. You can, if you need to fill a slot, you can take a chaos spawn for 23 points. If we look at the damage output per 100 points versus the general Yanis 31 targets, the average of all the let's say the graph and point corrected that I showed you with a divining spear, they have a good melee damage output, 5.6 wounds per 100 points on average, better than the Tzaangors with the blades or the Rubric Marines or the Scarab Occult Terminators. So basically they have quite a good potent melee weapon with a divining spear against normal non-death card targets. The chainsword auto pistol seems a bit lackluster. You sacrifice the melee benefit for a little bit of shooting and nothing in particular. And the Fatecaster great bow gives you range and you can do some damage per 100 points. But not super strong. You can snipe at some characters, but you can't really kill them so easily, let's say. But it's an interesting alternative to a melee, fast-flying melee unit. The problem comes here in the durability versus anti-infantry type of weaponry. How many average shots it takes to kill 100 points? It's way lower than the other Thousand Sun units. And for example, here we just look at Blight Lords being one of the most durable units in the game, and then we have Plague Marines and Poxwalkers. So it has an issue with the durability, and it doesn't of course have objective secure or core rules. So one of the units with lowest durability. It's decent in melee with a spear, but less so than the Chaos Spawn. The Chaos Spawn is stronger per 100 points in melee, not as fast and cannot fly, but the durability of the Chaos Spawn is also better than the Tzaangor Enlightened. It's a fast unit, as I said. It could do some sniping, but a little bit, because the number of shots, I think it's hurting it for 18 points to shoot one shot of a strength 5 AP -1 damage 1 weapon. Even if you can allows you to snipe, it's a bit too low damage output for this role, in my opinion. Some selected buffs and combos. The Tzaangor Shaman, like the normal Tzaangors, for 70 points, the Shaman has an aura to give +1 to hit, so basically bringing them to 2 pluses. So this is 25% more damage output, but doesn't help the Fatecaster bow, because that always hits on a 2+ anyway. So you can buff the spears, let's say, with this. Inhuman Savagery for 2 command points allows you to reroll everything in the hit phase. This would give 33% more damage output with their spears or the disc blade and things like that. But yeah, this could be used, but 2 command points is also quite juicy, and it's quite a small unit. Let's say if you have only 3, yeah, you're not getting potentially so much value for your 2 command points. Interesting psychic powers. Presage, a blessing, warp 7, +1 to hit, basically like the Tzaangor Shaman here. But maybe most importantly, the temporal surge, which allows you to pick an infantry or a beast or a cavalry unit like the Tzaangor Enlightened within 6 inches. Warp 7, they can allow us to make an extra normal move, and this is really good for the fast flying Tzaangor Enlightened. Basically, in the first turn, you could do a 24-inch movement and then charge, of tying something down maybe already from the first turn. That could be an interesting use of the Tzaangor Enlightened. For durability, Weaver of Fates can give a unit 4+ invul, probably better used on some other unit like Terminators and things like that. Glamour of Change can be used to get -1 to be hit. This improves by 33% the damage output, but again, probably better used on some of the other units. So coming down to the possible uses and the verdict for the Tzaangor Enlightened, it seems to be the main strong point of the unit seems to be that it can move fast and it can fly 12 inches, and the minimum unit only costs you 54 points, but you only put 6 wounds on the table for that. So it could be that you could have a use that you could take some objective quickly, try to keep it hidden, try to maneuver, and then just be on the table for engage on all fronts or something like that for secondaries. With a spear, it could be interesting to move it fast ahead and maybe tie up some enemy in the melee already, making a charge in turn one with a temporal surge could be interesting. Another use could be to keep them far away and snipe on some weaker characters, for example, the Death Guard Virion support characters that don't have so many wounds, but still, even a full unit of 6 would not do so much damage. Maybe over time it can take out, but then you have to keep it. Let's say you have a unit a bit idle, trying to snipe from far, harassing a bit. As cavalry, it's also hampered to perform some of the infantry actions, but yeah, so as an action unit, maybe it's not the best. And I guess all in all, there are better units in the Thousand Suns Codex. It's difficult to find a super good use. There are some niches here you could do it, but it doesn't seem to me that it would be a unit to build a list around. So summary and final thoughts. The Tzaangor Enlightened are a fast and relatively cheap unit. As the minimum you can put for 54 points. The damage output is best in melee with a spear, but the lack of durability seems to me hampering it and making it too fragile to play aggressively. Maybe you can sacrifice a unit to charge something and tie it down, maybe, but they will fall back and then something will shoot you and probably kill this unit. The bow has the interesting ability to be able to snipe at enemy characters from a range, but with only one shot per model, the damage is basically not there to do a substantial damage for the points that you are investing. So all in all, a niche unit, and probably best used for its speed, trying to take some board control and in that way contribute. Maybe if they could get a bit buff or a bit lower cost or something like this, they could be really stronger. So with these words, this concludes the review of the Tzaangor Enlightened. What do you think about this unit? Have you been using it? Do you have some experience from the battletop? The second-hand Thousand Suns army I got has a lot of them, but now I don't know how to best use them. They don't seem to be able to turn the tide, let's say, in the game. If you like this video, please press like and subscribe to my channel. Look in the description for more links for Thousand Sun reviews. Look in my channel for other Math Hammer or Warhammer type of videos. And if you want to support my efforts further, please visit my Patreon page where you get also access to more of the results, and you can and also take part in the discussion of the next videos and roadmaps. Big thanks to all my patrons for their support. And with these words, General Yanis is signing out. Stay safe out there, and bye-bye.